Hey friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm doing the edited version of, well, it's not the same video, but that time that I was Christmas journaling, the first time this year for 2024, can you believe? I did a real-time video. I actually did a whole test. I put this on Instagram today, so I don't know when you're going to see this video, but I'll obviously post it as a part of my Christmas content. Here are all the little fly things. The other day when I did this and I said, this is why I don't like filming at night because of all the little dust bunny things. First of all, yes, there is dust in my house, but second of all, it's actually from the ring light that I usually have flipped upside down to point at the roof because it will bounce off the white roof and reflect back down. It's a much softer spread of light, but at night it's a really unflattering light to be filmed in. So I put it back to the normal ring light way. It's actually kind of away from me. I kind of get the feather of the light, which is a lot softer. Even see how it's softer back here? Anyway, but because it's usually upside down, when I tip it, I should probably dust it before I tip it. All the dust kind of rains down onto my desk and then flies all into the video. So that's exactly what you're seeing in this video. In that video down there that hopefully I'm pointing to in the right direction, you're seeing that I'm fixing my tape runner. I've been using this one because I don't want to waste what's left in here, even though I broke the handle off of it. It's got all my good stickers on it too. This one will be going into the trash pile, or maybe I'll put it in my empty big vase art installation whenever I get that. I'm really hoping Steve got it for Christmas. I told him just to go to any thrift store and just get the biggest, like most massive glass vase he could find, because I'm gonna do it. Like, it's gonna be a really nice feature in my studio. But anyway, I'm keeping this. I guess I'll put it in that. But the insert that's inside, the actual tape runner insert, because these are refillable, there was still stuff left in it and I didn't want to run out. But sometimes, not because I'm heavy-handed, ironically this time because I'm impatient and I move too quickly. If you go too quickly, sometimes it will unspool itself a little bit, or it won't line up where it needs to when it winds onto the other mechanism. You can see I've figured out how to fix these things. I think a lot of people would probably just can it at that point and get something a little bit more reliable, like a glue stick. But I'm committed to it. I love the tape runners, so I don't mind doing a bit of fixing here and there. It does not typically happen. Like, I've been going very slowly and carefully with this one, also trying not to put too much pressure on this point here, and this one's been working completely fine. So most of the time it's user error, but sometimes I am clever enough to find a fix. So it's not going to be a tutorial. Please don't ask for one. It's so annoying. But I wanted to show you that that's sometimes what eats into my time here at my desk, is fixing art supplies that I'm too impatient or too heavy-handed to use properly. The journal is my Christmas journal, so I would have done another video that you've probably already seen if you watched it. It's a real-time video. I put a poll on Instagram asking if that is something that people were more interested in a real-time journaling video or an edited one. And I know that there are actually two different audiences for both. I was just more curious to see how many people in my own audience prefer one or the other. And I got an overwhelming majority for real-time, which doesn't really surprise me. However, I do think that there are some differences that if you've never really thought of, I would like to kind of explain to you or just let you know about, just to know why I choose one over the other sometimes, or why I think one might be better than another for other things. So this is going to be that video, I guess. This is the edited one, and I spent about the same time, just over an hour on each. There was some prep that went into the other one that you didn't really see on film, so I think the video of that one's about 50 minutes long, but it was about an hour for each of them, and I realized that even though I spent about the same time on each video, the amount of work I was able to get done in my journal, the play that I could have was all fun, but the amount of content I could actually get my hands on was 2 to 3 times more in the video that I didn't speak on. And I think there is a few reasons for that I can only speculate on. Honestly, I really don't know what's going on in my head sometimes, but I think it's because when I'm speaking to you real time and I'm going through it, I'm usually explaining a lot of things that sometimes I'm taking the time to explain. Whereas in a video like this, where I'm voiceovering it afterwards, I'm seeing what's happening. A lot of the time I'm not even talking about what's happening, I'm talking about my own stupid stories. But I've been able to cut out a lot of random in-between bits. Like, you didn't need to see me slice off every single edge from some ephemera, or you could see the part where I go and grab all the stuff and then put it on. You know, all of the little bits and pieces get cut out of that, it does make for a shorter video. But that's where I think, some people don't really have an hour to sit down with me and journal. Some people still want to see all of it happen in 20 minutes, and some people are really not even journaling along with me at all anyway, and are just curious to hear about some stories and watch some journaling or fall asleep to my voice. That's what my mum does anyway. So I can't pretend to know the reasons that everyone tunes in, but for that reason, I do switch it up from time to time. And I always think that the real-time journaling videos are better for sharing more specific information, for sharing little pointers, because I usually forget in my head when I'm looking back at it. If I was to live narrate this right now, I don't really know what to tell you about this particular moment that happened. But if I was talking you through it, I'd probably say that sometimes I peel off the sticker and I put it in my hand, the photo, so that I have to find a place for it, because if I can get a little indecisive, if the backing is off of it, it has to go down, and it's got to go down in the page. So that's a way to force myself to make a decision. However, I might not remember to tell you that when I'm filming a voiceover 4 days after I've filmed it. I can kind of trick myself into it because I know there are tricks that I do, but sometimes I've edited it so quickly, it all flies by so quickly, and then now I've completely forgotten to tell you what I'm doing in this part. So I think as far as sharing information goes, very specific to art journaling and the processes that I use doing it, real time is always going to be the winner there. And I think that's why when I teach, I usually always teach in real time. I don't think I ever really cut videos up. It also allows you to follow along and gives you time to do the process that I'm talking about. A lot of the time, if you watch a tutorial that's been edited, I might say, okay, color in this section, and I want you to really focus on the pressure you're using on your pencil to keep it all nice and even to get a smooth blend. If I speed through that process and make it 3 seconds long, you're going to be taking about 10 minutes to work on that skill, and I'll be jumping on to the next thing. Now, it's not super fun to have to watch all of that if you're not into the information of it, but if you are learning and you're learning along with the video, it makes sense for me to keep those 6 or 7 minutes in there while I'm doing it so that you can do it as well. And then I think about other things that I can tell you, some more information, some stupid little anecdotes about something, just to keep it, entertaining, and I don't disappear off the voice, off the audio for like 6 minutes. There's a level of vamping that goes along with it too, because I think that's the other part that makes the real-time video less productive, if I'm counting, the amount of work that I can get out of it. It's just because I do consider the value of hosting that video, I wouldn't even say entertainment quality of it, but being able to be a good host of the video and to keep the conversation going, which can be difficult when you're sitting down by yourself. Sometimes it's just there's no one responding to you, or you get caught up in this weird thought about something that you end up oversharing about, and then you think, oh, should I just delete that whole video? I probably shouldn't have said that. Or you're thinking about the words that have suddenly escaped your brain, words that you've used every day for 6 years that you just can't, think of all of a sudden. You've put a sentence together in a way you've never heard yourself say that before, and then that stumps you. There's an element of presenting in real-time journaling that I'm just not having to think about when I'm doing it like this, all edited. And because there's no voice in this, I usually have on YouTube videos or music or a movie in the background, and that can be stimulating in its own way. Not only can it feed through some kind of inspiration by way of whatever I'm watching, which is not typical, let's be real, because I'm watching a lot of YouTube drama videos, so not very inspirational when it comes to art journaling. It can put me in a different mood, and sometimes your mood will affect how creative you feel. I am very kind of methodical. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit, and so there is something a little bit more soothing to me to have constant noise playing in the background. I don't know what it is, I just always prefer noise. I don't like anything quiet. So when I'm presenting a video real time, I can hear myself speaking, but if I even hear like 10 seconds of silence, it feels very off-putting to me, and I become more aware of that than of what I'm doing. So I get into a very different headspace, and also because I'm not talking and I'm not explaining other things, my brain is in a pretty neutral space, and I find a lot of ideas kind of pop up and flash through a lot more frequently than when I'm presenting live. So there are value, like there's a little positive and negative to each, I would say, but in the end, or at the end of the day, I'm just going to do both. I would prefer to give you what you would like to watch, but there's always going to be people in both camps. So realistically, I'll probably give you both. And I do really like live too. Live can be a little bit more stressful, but here and there we do live. Haven't done it for a while. I think the last was my Virtual Voyage 9, me, myself, and I workshop. Live is great too, because there is something about the feedback that I get from the audience watching that kind of navigates how that all goes. It does have an impact, and I think that community aspect of it is it's its own little kind of special type of video. So I see them all pretty differently. However, I think there's a benefit to at least checking in once in a while to know where you're at and what you want, because I think I actually probably would have just done this video. I would have done this edited one, and even though I don't think people hate seeing the video like this, it was good to know that I should sit down and dedicate an hour to doing it with you real time live. And I do really like being able to get a little fussy with it. I know it seems like a lot, and sometimes it just, I mean, you hear yourself talking sometimes about washi tape for too long, and you just think, wow, like, what is this? What am I doing? Why am I talking about this to a camera in a room? This is so crazy. You become so aware of yourself. You have this out-of-body experience, and you're like, you're a 34-year-old man talking about stationery to no one. You're crazy. But I do enjoy getting into the weeds of it, because, I mean, if we're not going to tell you as the content creators, who's going to tell you? Sometimes you just don't know. And I've picked up so many tips from people telling me things that probably sound crazy to say, but really do change the way that, you know, I spend my creative playtime. And I really do believe that, you know, when they say like, enjoy the process, you know, enjoy the journey, all that kind of stuff, sometimes it sounds a little hokey, but the process is the part that you're all having the fun in. There's a great feeling of, you know, success and joy and, you know, fulfillment from having work that you like, you know, coming to fruition, to having finished journals, to having finished artwork, to being able to, you know, display your skill. There's a good feeling about all of that, but realistically, we spend most of the time in the process. And I think there's always something that we're learning about the process that can make it more enjoyable, or could make it more the right process for us. For instance, it's a really stupid thing, but I keep everything next to my desk within arm's reach in little pots. They're organized. This one doesn't look like it is because this one is my miscellaneous pot. Some of them are allowed to be a little bit more crazy than others. This one is like health tracking star pens and some regular ballpoint pens. This is planner pens, really. That one sits over there. I've got two eraser ones, but one of them is kneaded erasers and one of them is regular erasers. See? Kneaded erasers, regular erasers. There is a difference. I use them for different things. I have everything in pots to hand, because when I was not lucky enough to have all of this space available to me to art journal in, I used to have to pack away all my stuff, and it wasn't realistic to have everything out everywhere. But when I did set all of this up and I got this spare room and I, you know, have this studio, I thought, well, over time I will figure out what works for me and I'll change things accordingly. Realistically, I would be someone that would kind of value aesthetic over function, and all of this is not the way I would want it to look. However, if I want to enjoy the process, what I really want is access to everything that I have. It's not possible, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's bittersweet. I have too much to actually display, but I can get a great deal of stuff just all over there, accessible to me. Other things I have to prepare. The difference is when I didn't have it all, I was kind of not getting up from my desk to go and fetch things. I wasn't accessing half the supplies that I had when I was working before. When I put it all in pots and put it all within arm's length, and you'll even find like there's some pots over there that aren't actually accessible from where I sit at the desk, and I rarely touch those ones. I have to be able to put my arms out like a helicopter and touch it, and I'll use that. That affects how you move forward. I am someone that does want to use a lot of different art supplies, so I have to be a bit more strategic in how I place them. So sometimes things I know I'll use less, I'll put out of arm's reach. And it's the fussy little details like that that make you sound crazy when you're talking about them, but there's real value to hearing that, because maybe you're the same way. Maybe you're wishing you had access to everything. And if you use pencil cases and you think, okay, well, I do love a pencil case. It's easy to travel with. It's easy to take stuff everywhere. For sure it is. And I used to love a lot of pencil cases. it's just not as practical as having a pot. And a lot of people say you got to store certain things a certain way, like you got to store them horizontally. I've never really found that. Well, I've never really found that it's made much of a difference, let me just say that. But yeah, having access to all of it in pots, it's accessible and therefore more usable. So fussy little information like that I think is great for those real-time videos. Obviously I shared it now in an edited video, but we usually get a lot more time to chat in the real-time ones. The art journaling that I did here, like I said, was a little bit more, so you saw a lot more of it come together. Ultimately, it is a lot of shuffle, cut, paste, move on. There's not a lot of I don't think I did any actual art in here. I think I got a paint pen out at the end because I was being a little weird and wanted to use the stencil on the page that I made the stencil with. It was so ridiculous, but sometimes you just let yourself do things like that, don't you? They're your art journals. You can do whatever you want. But a lot of this was the same process over and over and over again. And there's a little bit of information here and there that I feel like sharing, but if I'm just going to be cutting, sticking, pasting 45,000 times over, sometimes I do want to edit that video down just to show you what I got done, and then not make you sit through all of the cutting and the pasting. So that can be a bit of a difference too. If I feel like the process is repetitive, I don't usually like to do that real time. I don't usually like to write real time either. I find that painful. You'll notice that there's no writing in any of this yet. I do have plans to go back and write down all the information about all of the little photos that I've put in here, but I do not like to write on camera. It's not because I don't want you to see what I've written. I couldn't care less if you read all of it. Any information that I feel like is too much is probably coded, or maybe I just don't care anyway. But I think it's so boring to watch people write. That's a me thing. That's not a you thing. You might like it. You might think it's fine. I can't bear it. I'll put like a tiny bit in here, or I'll put it at maximum speed so that it just speeds through it. But usually I'll cut most of that out because it's painful. I don't even like to see me cutting a lot of stuff a lot of the time. So anyway, this is my Christmas journal. I'm flipping through it, and those are all my Thanksgiving photos. I'll give you the quickest flip tour. So Wicked, that's what I ate at Wicked, the red vines. You put that in a slushie and they turn really, really hard. It's a very weird experience, but I really do enjoy that. I put everything blue on that page. I think I'm going to put everything red on that other page, that topographical candy cane page. I'm just saying I love the DecoJournal. I've mentioned this before, but this is exactly why I loved it, because everything already looks so decorated and so lovely. And then it's also, some of those colored pages are helping me get a lot of ephemera that is that color into kind of a spread without having to think too much about it. And it's really working for me. So I'm really, really loving it sick already. I will just say that. The DecoJournals are available. I'll link them in the description box. They're about $10, depending on which Amazon you purchase them from, but they're all about $10. I don't mark them up like crazy. These are just something that I use for being able to have a journal that looks pretty decorated and seasonal. And I just want to make sure that they're available to you too. If you want them, you don't have to. You could do all of these backgrounds yourself. If you want to, please do it. Please do not ever think that me over here at jlbCREATIVE is going to have an issue with you trying anything that I put out on the internet. If I really didn't want you to try it, I'd probably never show it to you. But I do give you permission to decorate every single one of your pages like this. All I ask is that you show me. I love seeing it all. So DM to me on Instagram. I may not check that DM because I'm terrible with that too. Actually, no, I think I'm all caught up on the DMs. I think there was a period maybe last year that I found a whole bunch in the DM requests and was shocked to find that there was like 400 to 600 unanswered DMs. And I think I cut my losses at that point. I do believe at some point I went on an Instagram story and just told everyone, hey, sorry, I found a whole bunch of Instagram DMs I never really saw before, so we're just going to have to clean slate, move on from there. Most of those accounts were probably people that just don't art journal anymore anyway, so that's fine. We're going to have to move on. I did send my apologies, but I'll send my apologies again. I got in a really bad way at one point, just not checking the DMs because it was a lot. It was a lot for me to go through. And I just was not good at it. However, it's Christmas and I've got a lot more art journaling to do. I've got to catch up, well, not catch up, but I've got to keep current with my photo a day. I've been doing 2, so that's exciting. There's just so many things to take photos of at Christmas. There's so many events. I have said no to nothing. Like I've said, I will do everything. I'll go to every dinner, every friend gathering, every outing someone planned, every last minute drinks, everything. And it has packed my schedule absolutely crammed full, but I've decided that I'm just going to go with it this season. So Merry Christmas. I'll see you again soon. Bye.